Hey, how's it going? I got this idea. I'm about to start. I've got Crystal Ball on with Katie Halper. I got the closed caption on. I'm going to start it at 50%. Now, because screen recording does not work, it only barely works. I can't make videos that easily. But what I'm going to do here is I have it on 50%. I'm going to speak out what I see in the closed caption. This is outrageous. Crystal Ball was on with Katie Halper for about 20 minutes. Let's see, about at 2:40 she goes on. This is from a few days ago. And then she's gone at the 27-minute mark about. So she was on 25 minutes. Now, how do they know each other? Well, it's just going to be obvious that they're reading AI, and I don't have to cherry pick. The AI is distinctive. I don't want to read it or hear it or anything, but this is going to be a public service. I'm doing it at a slower speed, too. I'm trying to keep my wits, and I want you to also keep it together. They're effing with us in some bizarre way, but I friggin' broke them year in, year out. And I'm not saying just me. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if there are other people like me. They're not going to be on any of these big forums getting anything done. All right, it's so annoying what's going on. And they have people who steal from me. Not from, I'm not saying me specifically, or maybe a little bit from me, but they're in on it. So that Chase Hughes guy, I'll just mention that one guy right there. They're all somehow in on it. And all I can do is go for this little section, this little part of the internet to show, but it's all the same. So a Cheryl Hines on Bill Maher is all the same. I don't know why no one else has done this or why no one pushes what I've come up with. I know why no one in on it doesn't push it. I'm wondering if there's anywhere on the internet where anyone's discussing this in the legitimate way in which we talk about the logistics of it, because that's the only way to end it, to thoroughly prove it, which I did. So let's go. I got the CC going, the closed caption. I'm going to hit start. I'm not listening to them speak. So here we go. She goes, without Katie Halper, without any further ado, I'll just introduce our speaker, our first guest, and that is Crystal Ball. She's great, so smart. She's the host of the great YouTube show Breaking Points. Pause. I'm going to speed this up to 75% speed. And that should go smooth. Perhaps I can go with the normal speed. Excuse me as I cough to the side there. So she's already off to a strange, awkward start, going repetitive, saying weird crap that no human being would say. But this is going to become obvious as we go. I haven't looked at any of this really except for right here. So this will be spontaneous. And hopefully it's obvious when I'm switching to the other person. But, so I got it at 75%. I'll back that up a little bit and restart that. Um, so without further ado, here is Crystal Ball. Welcome back, Crystal Ball. It's been so long. Way too long. It's great to be back, Katie. Great to see you. Thanks, you too. Let's just start off talking about this great cave that we've seen from the Democrats. How would you describe what just happened? Um, in a word, pathetic. Like, I mean, first of all, Democrats have a democracy problem because they can't even listen to their own voters who not only showed up in droves for the No Kings protest, but then overwhelmingly like swept every electoral contest you could possibly imagine to send a message. They hate Donald Trump. They, are backing Democrat. They want them to fight. Like they want them to stand tough. And so after you have this massive electoral victory and Trump and the Republicans reporting is coming out about how much pressure they feel and how bad this is for them politically, that's the moment that you cave and you get literally nothing. Like it's genuinely perplexing. And the truth of the matter is that they had people in the party who just didn't want to fight at all. We're looking for any and every excuse to cave from the jump. And so I think when you had the Supreme Court snap decision, when you had the airline lobbyists who were calling them, who all of them received funding from, I think David Sirota was doing the reporting on that, and that Dave Sirota, and then you also had the Trump threat of nuking the filibuster. Katie's shaking her head up and down. That's when I think like, all right, we're just going to throw in the towel. And Schumer trying to absolve himself of this is utterly ridiculous. This didn't happen without leadership say so. But I want to hold on to the filibuster part because I think this is something that you've also looked at and talked about as well. Like corporate Dems love a sort of parliamentary roadblock to give them excuse for why they can't ever deliver. So they like to pretend like, oh, we would love to do all these great things, but their Republicans have too many seats, but the parliamentarian. And so when Trump was like, okay, we're going to nuke the filibuster, that was sort of existential for them. Even though for me, I'm like, good, do it. Like, go ahead and nuke the filibuster. Then you guys, you'll have more power. Not that Republicans in Congress have claimed any power whatsoever from Donald Trump. Democrats, when they get in, they won't have the same excuse. But that was to them like an existential threat to their excuse ability. So to me, that was the final straw for them to just throw in the towel completely. Right. And of course, that's something that's not very like sexy to talk about. And people don't really like bring that up. And you wouldn't know that unless you're really wonky and following it, right? So that hasn't really entered like the discourse. Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's the same on the Republican side. Like, also, I mean, Republicans have been in Congress just like the most embarrassing people on the planet. They don't want to claim any power. They want to outsource all of their decisions to Donald Trump. They don't want to be on the record on anything. They don't want to assert authority on anything. Like, they just want to be able to go on a podcast, and that's about it. Sorry, I just have to check. I have to speed through that, and that's 75% speed. That's bizarre. Okay, it's going so fast. So I'm speaking slow, even though I'm speaking fast. Oh, this is really bad situation we're in when it's clearly AI. and they're clearly rushing words. They're they're clearly making fools of themselves. There's clearly no way people are watching this shit. No fucking way. I hate to say it, but and it's a shame that I'm not able to download it and really work on this. I'm gonna put it at 50%. Just got to keep an eye on Audacity because it frickin' crashes. Everything frickin' crashes with the AI and all this shit going on. I can't believe this. There's got to be people in. There have to be more Snowdens out there who are like they haven't acted on it, but they must know exactly what Snowden knows, or what I know. Yet it just persists. There's not even one person like me who gets to the logistics of it and names the names. And I'm saying, yeah, I'm naming all of these asswipes. Alright, I'm gonna keep going here. I'm not gonna try to rewind it to the exact point where I paused it, but this is gonna be at 50%. I'm trying to show once and for all to anyone listening into my show right here, this one, that this is specific proof that I'm not I'm just not. I have like a master's degree. I'm putting this forward. I'm addicted to it too, I'm gonna admit, but alright, let's get back to it. Which is why they didn't immediately get rid of the filibuster. But yeah, I mean, we've seen when Democrats are quote unquote in power, how they come up with every possible excuse to avoid actually delivering for people. And one of the key tools in that arsenal is the filibuster. And if Republicans nuked it, you know, I don't think they would be. I think Democrats would be pretty embarrassed to put it back into place. Um, so, that's why and like I said, they wanted to cave from the beginning, but to do it right after you've had this electoral victory and for absolutely nothing, like the base is so furious at these people in a way that is truly different from what we've seen before in the modern Democratic Party era. Katie speaking. Yeah, it really is stunning. And shockingly, there I even see some progressives. Not many, but some defending the cave and saying it's like good for people who are suffering. Let's take a look at John Fetterman making that case. Now, of course, to me, the fact that John Fetterman makes that case makes it like immediately disqualifiable. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I'm going to show you this just so you can respond. This is Katie to her to respond, and anyone who believes I mean again, who the hell is going to believe Fetterman? But anyone who believes this kind of framing, how relieved are you that? And now they're showing a clip from Fox News. So they're talking about a cave. They want people to think of the word cave. The Democrats caved. Well, they're just persisting this right-left thing. Wow, so these people, they can't control their faces. They're junkies. They make Freemasonic symbols. Who did I just see? Oh, one could see Bill Maher with a thumb to the finger. I could see that these people are they're mind controlled. It's so annoying. The good thing to realize though is that when they're smirking, when it looks like they're smirking, when I get a feeling of like they're frickin' trying to get us annoyed, that's because they can't control their face. That must be a reason why they like having the junkies, and they don't try to help them stop being junkies. They like, I think they like it that someone like Halper would go to the military hospital. They're showing a long extended clip of Fox News with Fetterman on it. And Katie Halper shaking her head up and down like she has Parkinson's. And the other one also looks like a junkie. Oh, here she goes again. Okay, so let's pretend this was someone other than John Fetterman who is saying this. Someone who people would actually have reason to take seriously. What is your response to this? My first response is, are you okay? Because it sounds like your brain is broken. So which Fetterman, we know his brain is in fact broken. And you can see the brain damage in every sentence of that response right there. I mean, first of all, listen. If Republicans wanted to keep the government open, they knew they needed 60 votes. They knew they needed to work with the Democrats. Are they really so committed to raising health care premiums? An astronomical amount on millions and millions of Americans that they want to shut down the government? The answer is apparently yes. So that's number one. Number two, on the SNAP benefits, Republicans were actually legally obligated to continue to pay out those benefits. The only person who was denying, or the only group that was denying any American SNAP benefits were Republicans and Trump. So to put that one in particular at the feet of Democrats is insane. Mike Johnson was approached with, hey, how about we pass a bill just to make sure that the troops get paid, which has been done in previous shutdowns. He said, absolutely not. So the blame for the pain goes directly to the Republicans. And you don't have to take my word for it. Like, that is the way the American people were assessing this shutdown as well, which is part of why they handed such an overwhelming victory to Democrats, in particular in the state of Virginia, which has been hit hardest by the shutdown, where you had the most federal government workers, the most pain, the most people facing these furloughs and this layoffs, I forget furloughs, but I have to say, like, for these 8 Democrats, if you were going to cave from the beginning, you're right. You should have just done it from the beginning, because you did mess with people's lives, and now you got absolutely nothing for it. And the 20 million people are going to see their health care premiums skyrocket. And you're going to have people die, literally unnecessary debts, literal unnecessary debts, because they can no longer afford health care. So you're right. I mean, now you did it all for absolutely Nothing. And so it is thoroughly enraging. And my only hope for a silver lining out of this is that it further fuels the flames of the enraged liberal base, which is ready to vote for the Abdul, Aliads and the Shai Chakras and the Grand Platners of the world. Who? And get rid of the Schumers, get rid of the Haki, Jeff, and take the party in a completely different direction. I think they are more ready for that than they have literally ever been. Right, Kate, back to Kate. Yeah, I mean that is the silver lining, right? As you said, I mean, I'm not usually an accelerationist, and I don't even this isn't really accelerationism. It's like a mini blip of accelerationism, perhaps. It's just an undeniable, back to Crystal, it's just an undeniable demonstration of their failure. And I'm sure you probably saw, Katie, I saw some tweets that were like, oh, now I understand why the left hates us so much. Oh, now I understand why people vote for third parties. Because, Richard Hanania, who was like this white supremacist, and now he's still like eugenic curious, but whatever. He calls himself a Democrat now. He's like, I've been a Democrat for 5 minutes. Do they always cave like this? This is demoralizing. And it's like, yes, they do. This is the way that they operate. They do not understand the moment. They do not understand the time that they're living in. They do not understand or care what their own voters want, let alone how to deliver for the American people. Katie, right. Or maybe they do understand, but they're just so beholden to their donors, right? I mean, that's a scary thing. But you're saying basically, and a lot of people are saying this, like, maybe you don't understand to such an extent that you're willing to lose elections over it. I mean, even for your own immediate self-interest. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, Crystal. Of course, the fact that all 8 who voted for the deal are either retiring or they're not up this election cycle tells you that they do actually know something. They do actually understand what political poison this is going to be. And then people like John Oath, who's considered the most vulnerable Democrat in the Senate, he voted against it. You know, all of these Democratic Senate candidates who are running across country from, the more moderate like establishment ones to the, more outsider ones, they're all saying this deal was terrible. So they understand at least the politics of it, even if they are, don't have any sort of visceral connection to the way that people's lives are impacted. Right, Katie. Let's take a look at, he is independent, but I think it's another important argument to be debunked. Let's take a look at Angus King, Senator Angus King, pretending to really care and then now they're showing the liberal TV show, the MSNBC, with Morning Joe, who didn't he kill his intern? One of those. So Crystal Sager, special guest, they're on the side, they're plugging all these shows, and that's what they do in that Monday thing with Matei. So all these people are tied to the hip. They don't even try to hide it. They don't hide it. And there's no way to communicate with other people about how they're reading off of hidden teleprompters and that it's AI. Or everyone knows this, and the dead internet is just true. Angus King from Maine. This is, I like that word pathetic. I think I saw the word pathetic earlier today. Does Deep State mind if I borrow the word pathetic for their disinfo shills, shaking their heads up and down, arm flapping, eye misalignment? Have you sent them a memo yet? They're still doing this clip. Have you sent them all a memo yet about the eye misalignment? What are you gonna do about that? Are you just gonna ignore that that it happened, and that it's funny as fuck? Fuck you, Deep State. It's funny that way. So Crystal Ball, I wanted to Okay, we're back. Oh no, that's odd. They have the clip is over them. Okay. Standing up to Donald Trump didn't work. Unbelievable. Yeah, it's like a parody. So this is Katie. So respond to that framing, that idea that standing up to Trump didn't work. Then we can talk about the ICE stuff. I mean, did you watch the election results last week? Like, that is as demonstrable a result as you could possibly get. And it wasn't just New Jersey and Virginia. It was Pennsylvania, statewide races. It was the freaking Mississippi State Senate. You know, Democrats broke the supermajority. It was the statewide races in Georgia. It was a tax measure in Colorado. It was Prop 50 in California. Like, every single race you could look at shifted towards the Democrats. They finally were pressured into doing something that their base wanted to see them do from the beginning, which is to actually fight. And guess what? People responded to that. Now, I'm not saying the shutdown was the only factor. Obviously, people are watching their quality of life and their material well-being rapidly deteriorate at the hands of Donald Trump, who's giving the whole store away to his band of tech oligarchs and absolutely monstrous cast of characters, while throwing himself great Gatsby parties and sending mass thugs into neighborhoods to tear gas children. I would say all of that had an effect as well. But there was a very clear message sent from the electorate. We want you to fight. So to say that, oh, this wasn't working, what planet are you living on? And yes, Donald Trump was putting this front publicly we're not going to negotiate. We had the reporting that privately he was freaking out. Republicans knew this was a massive political liability for them. And so at that moment of maximum pressure, when your spine should have been strengthened and fortified by those election results, that you cave in at that moment is just so utterly pathetic. And just one other note to this guy, like, he came in with this prepackaged talking point about how you know who's getting paid. The ICE agents are getting paid in that part. He can't even deliver it. I mean, that's the other embarrassing thing, is just like the inability to speak coherently and formulate thoughts that are compelling and articulate, and articulate them in a way that makes any sort of sense. All of these eight, when they have gone on TV, when they did their little press conference, every single appearance I've seen has been utterly embarrassing and pathetic. Yeah, it really is, Katie. It's unbelievably embarrassing. And again, like you're saying, you know, a wide range of characters is critical of this. When you have people like Matt Glacius and Nara Tandon who think, yeah, Ezra Klein, yeah, yeah. Oh, Crystal, yeah, and Ezra made a great point. I think Ezra made one of the best points, which is the repetitiveness AI, which is he said, listen, what is Trump actually going to learn from this? He's going to say, okay, you guys are always going to cave. You're always, if I just hang tough, I'm going to be able to bully you and get my way. Who fucking talks like that? And that is 100% the AI talks like that. And that is 100% the lesson that he and all of the Republicans are going to take from this. And it's the lesson they should take from it because it's just undeniably true at this point. That's diction. She just repeated too many of the words. Right, Katie, right. So what other races are you looking at right now that give you excitement, that give you hope? Fair, Crystal. Well, obviously I'm super psyched about Zoran, and so we'll see, how he's able to govern and what sort of roadblocks are thrown in his path. I mean, you, and I both remember what just the pure levels of unadulterated hatred that Bill de Blasio and Cuomo had for each other. And the way Cuomo did everything he could to screw over Bill de Blasio. But even against that landscape, and Bill de Blasio being, no offense to him, but a much less sort of like compelling and charismatic figure, didn't have a movement behind him in the same way as Zoran does, etc. Even so, he was able to get universal press. So I'm hopeful that Zoran is going to be able to get some of his key priorities fulfilled. And so we'll see what that looks like. I just interviewed today Katie Wilson, who you should talk if you haven't talked to her. She's the one. I wasn't really aware of her, I'll confess. until just a couple weeks ago, and I started to really plug into, okay, who's running where and what are these election results going to look like? She is a progressive insurgent running against a more corporatist incumbent mayor of Seattle. And on election night, because all voting in Washington state is mail-in, and usually more progressive, younger people vote later. So on election night, it didn't look great for her. She was down by, I don't know, like 5 points, 6 points, something like that. But as more mail-in ballots came, she was steadily closing the gap. And then just last night, with that mail drop, she took the lead by 91 votes. Wow. So it's looking very much like she is going to be the next mayor of Seattle. And when I spoke with her today, I was really impressed with her. You know, she's not sort of like flashy, I guess, in the way that Sauron is. But she knows what she's talking about. She's a long-time activist in the city of Seattle. She knows the ins and outs of city government. Yes, she's never, been in government in this way before, but this is not some rube. She absolutely has like a plan and specifics ready to go. So that's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on as well. There was sort of there were a lot of progressives in the on the city council up to 2020, and then there was kind of like a backlash to BLM and company, and you had more centrist types come in. Now they've been swept down, and now you have progressives come back in. So that'll be an interesting one to watch. Then, of course, there are a bunch of these. Yeah, that's her. And she founded this transit. I think it's called Transit Riders Union, which focused obviously on like transit issues, and also the labor issues and housing issues. She's been at the forefront of the affordable housing fight in Seattle. I'm excited about her and to see what she's able to do, because when you have that kind of executive power, you actually get to implement some of your ideas and see how they work in the real world. I'm obviously taking a look at a bunch of the Senate races. We're interviewing this Friday Katie Flanagan, who is running. Katie, big Katie week. Big week for Katies for me. Like, I'm just all about the Katies this week. So, she just got endorsed by Bernie. She's running against this. She's the current lieutenant governor of Minnesota running against this absolutely terrible lady named Angie Craig, who was like, I think, a former healthcare executive. And she's a member of Congress. She sucks anyway. So I'm excited to talk to her, see what she's all about. obviously, the main race I am locked in on. Graham Plattner versus Janet Mills. Super. I think that one is actually really important for a variety of reasons. And then the Michigan race as well. Mallory McMarrow, Abdul Asai being the Bernie-backed Medicare for All candidate. And then Haley Stevens, who just like totally sucks. Yeah, Katie. So tell us more about Grant Plattner, because I actually haven't covered that race yet, because I've been so focused on Gaza. Um, so tell us about him, Crystal. Yeah, so he's a military veteran. I'm sure a lot of people, were aware of the quote unquote scandals that emerged where he had a long history of Reddit posting. Um, Most of which, if you read, in a sense, um, it actually sort of solidified and gave me some comfort about what his ideological leanings are, because he's a veteran, and then he also served for this security contractor that it had been a BlackRock or Blackwater contract that got sold to this other contractor. And so people were like, okay, dude, what is up with this? And now you're claiming to be this lefty. The Reddit posts demonstrate this guy has been a lefty for a long time. Yeah. And he was a Michael Brooks fan, for example. And most of the posts that were kind of controversial were him being like, I'm a communist. I'm a literal communist. And I'm actually training socialists for the potential revolution. You know? Like that sort of stuff. But then you also had things that he has apologized for that were unacceptable with regard to like women and race and those sorts of things as well. And then the big thing was he had this tattoo on his chest that he says, and I think credibly so, because one of his buddies backed him up, that he got on shore leave in Croatia when he's in the military. It looked to him like a cool skull and crossbones. Turns out, whoops, it's some Nazi insignia. He gets it covered up, and what's fascinating to me about this race is I think in any other time, Katie, that would have been it for him. Like, there's no doubt this was Oppo that came from Chuck Schumer, and from his opponent Janet Mills, who's the sitting governor of the state, and they thought that this is why they dropped it so early. They're like, this will just get him out of the way. He'll be done. And on. That's not what's happened at all. I think he's the favorite at this point. Um, the polling seems to back up that he has a wide lead over the sitting governor of the state, because people are like, what freaking Donald Trump's in the White House. you know what? Freaking Donald Trump's in the White House, and I'm much more worried about who's going to fight against him, who's going to have moral clarity about calling out the genocide that we've been arming and funding. Janet Mills is horrific on that issue. Like, we're looking for fighters. And you know what? He had a horrible tattoo. He's ashamed of it. He got it covered up. We're moving on. We're moving past it. And so, the same tactics that would have worked against left-wing candidates in the past are falling flat with normie, Democratic, liberal voters. And that's why I think that race is ultimately so important. Because, listen, not Gorin turned out to be like really squeaky clean, and still they tried to, oh, he's an anti-Semite, he's this, he's that. Like, if this works against Graham, then they will run that playbook against every left-wing candidate that they see as a threat to their power and their control and their donors. So that's why, for me, I really dug in on this one, and I think it's very important that he win the Democratic primary. Not to mention, I just think he will be such a better fighter in the Senate than Janet Mills, who has, she's opposed tax increases on the rich. She's terrible on the Gaza genocide. She's Schumer's hand-picked candidate. Like, definitely would be sort of just like a standard, boring, disappointing Dem if she ended up in the Senate. Right, Katie? I mean, I think also, he probably is really protected by being a veteran. I think it's a lot harder for Dems to attack him because of that. And it will be harder, I just think that's true. Again, I think, okay, Crystal, I just think no one listen, I feel, well, I would feel totally different if there was any indication that he was actually some secret Nazi. Literally, no one thinks that. No one thinks that. Even the people who are attacking him for it, whether they're on the right or the left or whatever, no one believes this guy is some secret Nazi. So what are we doing here? I care about who are you today. What do you stand for? What are you going to fight for? And apparently that's the way the voters are thinking about it too. Katie, yeah, that's true, yeah. I just mean, I think it also is helpful. I think you're right. I mean, you're speaking to a general shift of what doesn't work anymore, but I do think that he probably is also protected by this. But I'm not disagreeing with you. I guess I'm just saying that's another advantage that he has, that the times have changed, that people are no longer falling for the anti-Semitic accusation. And that he's also a veteran, which gives you some, I actually think his like communism stuff is more protected by his being a veteran. Crystal. Well, and I mean, I weirdly think like Katie. I love that he's a communist, obviously, but I mean, in terms of the electorate, Crystal. Yeah, well, I also think weirdly like the communism posting is sort of canceled out by like the race and Nazi tattoos. So, it's just like everyone's like, I don't know, whatever. It has he's a poster. What are we gonna do? Katie, yeah, oh, maybe he's like the Stalin Hitler pact. That's what he could run on. I'm just kidding. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, now Crystal, you've been someone who's been extremely vocal and passionate about both the genocide in Gaza and the I don't know the Gestapo like tactics that we're seeing here with ICE. And there's been hyperbole in the past when it comes to Trump. I don't think it's hyperbole to compare these people to Gestapo. Um, I think that what we're seeing is extremely scary. It's interesting. The numbers of deportations, I apparently are not that much worse under Trump than they were under Biden. They may actually not have even reached that yet. But this Katie, what they're doing is a spectacle of violence. And it's incredibly, obviously, traumatic to the people it happens to. It's also traumatic for everyone to watch. The hope is it'll instill a lot of fear. Um, what are your thoughts on this? And also, what are your thoughts on how this can be battled and combed? Seems to have frozen on us. That's odd. Uh, Great chat and to hear answers as well as our discussion about Nick Fuentes and other characters like him in this right wing split over maybe not what is she saying to go somewhere else to watch them uncensored or something? They had some weird editing going on there and it just ended. They're they're clearly scripted. I guess I can hit pause on that. I'll just put up a screenshot of them two on the screen together, and that should take care of it. And I guess on that note, I'm trying to think if I have anything else to say. This will be an easy one to upload. They're clearly scripted. They're clearly reading AI. The sentences are not like a human being talks about the way they phrase certain nouns. There's no real logic. She kept repeating the word fight. I don't think anyone's watching this shit anymore. I don't think there's really much keeping the internet going. I think they're faking the stats. These shows aren't watchable. They're not making any sense. And they're just actually advertisements to watch the mainstream news. Anyone else notice that? Yeah, of course, everyone's noticed this. So the only people left online have to be like the landline vote or something. It's got to be people who just have no frickin' clue. Because I feel like at least 90% of everyone just had to quit. Like, I quit. I'm just friggin' self-publishing with my channel. I, alright, I drop some troll comments here and there once in a while, but I'm not advertising them. And I'm not doing it. I quit. I'm done. I can't believe this shit. I say dox them all. I don't know what we're supposed to do, but I think I delivered on this stuff. I delivered. I get no comments, I think, which proves that I delivered, and everyone's bailing out. And I think they faked my stats to look like no one's listening to my message, even though it's so profound. Not for me. I'm temporary. We're all temporary. It's an incarnation, and I slowed down. It's so widespread, and they're stuck in it. In that it's it's so easy to uh to expose them. Jimmy Dore was one of those war comics, as was Graham Elwood. Both came out of the Young Turks. Young Turks was Cenk Uygur, and he used to be one of the news hosts, like a Rachel Maddow. I think he was actually the number one, and then they probably had him get fake fired, and that's what they're doing again with Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly. She got fired, I think, from doing that blackface thing. I remember that. I video blogged on that. So that was fake. Everything is fake, and it's a merry-go-round where nothing's ever resolved. Nothing ever goes anywhere. It's a disgusting fucking internet. I hope to God that I did get into their heads so that they'll never forget that they're deformed fucking bitches, and that they were exposed as reading AI off of hidden teleprompters, that they got eye misalignment, they can't control their faces, they're all tied to the hip, and that the page stats are getting fake to make them look popular when no one's watching that shit. None of this shit is watchable. None of them is. I'm watchable somehow to show that they're unwatchable, and that's all I've been trying to do. And that's what I think I did. I did do that. I got it done. I did get it done. Now I'm getting repetitive like the AI. God, that shit. Has anyone done that? No one. I don't know. Everyone's afraid to comment on my. I don't blame you. I don't blame anyone for being afraid to comment on my channel, even if you agree with me and you're afraid to comment. I don't blame you. Fuck them. They fucking did this to us. They fucking ruined it. But I'm showing that it can be quit. This internet shit can be quit. Alright, we're just under 1 hour. I don't know when I started, what the timing was when I started, but Audacity's approaching 59 minutes. I'm gonna stop right there and say have nice nights, and thanks for giving my shtick a chance. I'm a never say never person. I sang a song for the first time in a little bit, and I think I nailed it. The Duran Duran. And I think I nailed this video too by just trying to give a transcript. I would have liked the speed to be in between 50 and 75%. I found 75% was still too fast. So these people are talking very quickly, and they're just trying to jam words into people's heads. Okay, I'm getting repetitive here. It should be clear what I've been arguing or presenting. I think it should be, in my opinion, I clearly proved it, every bit of it. that it's military and it's the Snowden stuff. It's J Trig. It's the Five Eyes. It's Eglin Air Force Base, CIA, FBI, all of it. They're demented and perverts who are ruining our. They're wasting all the water to feed the what do they call those places? The data centers. They're fucking full of it, demented, perverted. We have every right to legally seize, to sue, class action, to turn the internet into a public utility, and to seize all the money, every last dollar from the bitches who fucked with us. And I'm pretty sure good, smart people could put together a good country. Did I say good too much there? Sorry. The AI thing. That's why we don't want to read it or listen to it, but we have to at least face up to it. Alright, I'll stop right there. Thanks.